One of the most asked questions about multi-level marketing has been, are MLMs cults? In order for us to truly decide, we need to define what a cult is and what being in one can make you do. We have dove a bit into the manipulation tactics in the last 3 episodes and will continue to do so. However, it is important that we discuss the bite model and whether MLMs can be considered cults before we continue. In my quest of discovering what got me to take part in groupthink and allowing them to control my information intake about MLMs and their products and business model, I realized I wasn't the only one wondering why. Other people in the anti-MLM community have covered this topic in the past, and I highly recommend viewing their take on all of this as well. I am hoping to add to this conversation. This episode will be broken up into 2 parts. Please watch both before making your decision on whether or not MLMs are cults. This conversation needs to occur as often as possible. Truly, before MLMs turn into something that controls the public any more than they already have. Hello, my name is Beth, or Queen of Spade, and you're watching Manipulation of a Hunbot. On August 9th, 1969, one of the most gruesome murders took place. At 150 Cielo Drive in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, Stephen Parent was found shot 4 times and stabbed once in his car outside. On the front lawn, Abigail Folger and Wojtek Frykowski were found murdered. Abigail had been stabbed 28 times, and Wojtek was struck over the head 13 times, stabbed 51 times, and shot twice. Inside the home was a horror scene. Sharon Tate, a famous Hollywood actress, also married to director Roman Polanski and 8 months pregnant at the time, was found hanging with her friend Jay Sebring. Sharon had been stabbed 16 times, and Jay was stabbed 7 times and shot once. They were hung after they were already deceased. The house had messages written in blood on the walls, including the word pigs and the words helter-skelter, but they were misspelled as heelter-skelter, the title of a popular Beatles song. On August 10th, 1969, at 3301 Waverly Drive, Leno and Rosemary LaBianca were also stabbed to death. The word war was also carved into Mr. LaBianca's chest. All the murders led back to a cult group led by Charles Manson called The Family. He and his co-conspirators, his cult followers, claimed that Helter Skelter was a murder conspiracy, and many believe Charles Manson was trying to start a race war of some sort. However, Charles stated, "Is it a conspiracy that the music is telling the youth to rise up against the establishment because the establishment is rapidly destroying things? Is that a conspiracy? The music speaks to you every day, but you're too deaf, dumb, and blind to even listen. It is not my conspiracy. It is not my music. I hear what it relates. It says rise. It says kill. Why blame it on me? I didn't write the music. The Manson family was charged for the murders and also connected and charged for the murders of a friend and associate of theirs named Gary Hinman and their ranch hand, Donald Shea. Charles Manson, Charles Watson, Patricia Krenwinkel, Linda Kasabian, and Leslie Van Houten were charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The Manson family was a cult that was created by the love of music and because its leader was manipulative and great at convincing his followers he was godlike. Cults are not always religious, although religion does play a large role in many cults, such as the People's Temple with Jim Jones. That cult led to a mass suicide, which actually created the saying, "Don't drink the Kool-Aid." It's a little dark, but often used. I bring this up because in the case of MLMs, religion is not always a focus or manipulation tactic used. Yet, the same cult-like mentality tends to exist. Although the outcome of MLMs being possible cults will hopefully never lead to murders or mass suicide, MLMs are still very harmful to society and the individuals involved and their support system, and therefore it is important we use the same model used that looks at cults such as the Manson family. You may be surprised to hear there are similar behaviors, especially in terms of having a leader believed to be godly and do no wrong. Before we continue, it is important that we define the term cult. A great devotion to a person, idea, object, movement, or work, such as a film or book, criticizing how the media promotes the cult of celebrity especially. Such devotion regarded as a literary or intellectual fad, the object of such devotion. A usually small group of people characterized by such devotion, the singer's cult of fans. The film has a cult following, a system of religious beliefs and ritual also. Its body of adherents, example, the cult of Apollo. Now, let's discuss Stephen Hassan's BITE model of cult mind control. The BITE model is broken into 4 categories. Number 1, behavior control. Number 2, information control. Number 3, thought control. And number 4, emotional control. We are going to discuss each one and how it relates to MLM businesses and their business model. Behavior control. Regulate individuals' physical reality. This can be the case in MLMs, especially if the team meets in person. Dictates where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates or isolates. MLM companies do this by creating a mindset where anyone who doesn't support the Hunbot's business or behavior while in the business is negative, wants them to fail, and they need to be removed from their life. MLMs have broken up many families, friendships, and even marriages. Dictates when, how, and with whom the member has intercourse. I do not believe this is occurring in MLMs unless I am unaware of Pure Romance or another company doing this. Control types of clothing and hairstyles. This can be possible. Many MLMs sell merchandise and consultants are told to purchase and wear them. However, it's not really a control tactic as much of a way to sell merch. However, if the products are clothes such as LuLaRoe or hair care such as Monat, then it is much more likely to occur. Regulate diet, food and drink, hunger and or fasting. This tactic is most common in health and wellness MLMs such as Herbalife and It Works. Usually, dieting is involved when a distributor or customer of these types of companies, as they do meal plans and they do products such as shakes to replace their meals. Manipulation and deprivation of sleep. MLMs do have their Huns work around the clock 24/7, 365 days a week. Some people may argue that this is what they are doing, and I agree. When you are suffering from sleep deprivation, you're much easier to control. Financial exploitation, manipulation, or dependence. All MLMs exploit and manipulate everyone they can financially, not only through the sale of products, but through hiring on people and not giving them a livable wage, which can also make those people financially depend on the MLMs more. It is a vicious cycle of you have to spend money to make money, except you always spend far more than you make. Restrict leisure, entertainment, and vacation time. MLMs expect you to work 24/7, 365 days a year. You will see people brag about working on their wedding day or while giving birth to their child even. They never take time off, are always trading or working on their businesses in some way. Many times, the only vacations taken are those cruises with their fellow MLM business owners. Major time spent with group indoctrination and rituals and or self-indoctrination, including the internet. When you become a Hunbot, you train daily, hang out in social media groups, research the products and steps to running a business, and you constantly try to make sales and recruit. This is all a MLM is. It relies on this tactic heavily for its success. I have an example of a Hunbot's day. Daily tasks. Post an inspirational quote or picture. Add 5 Facebook friends. Comment or start a conversation with 5 existing friends. Post a unique tutorial video, either your own or another presenter's. Post about your love for a product with a picture. Post about how busy you are. Post a lifestyle photo, kids, friends, family, etc. Take an hour a day to work on personal development. Watch YouTube videos or read books on personal development, and etc. Permission required for major decisions. Although distributors often report to their uplines, although they believe to be the CEO of their own company, they do not actually make any big decisions. They don't pick names of products, the products themselves. They don't price them, and they cannot make any business decisions in terms of the main company's investments and success. Therefore, this one does not apply in my opinion. Thoughts, feelings, and activities of self and others reported to superiors. Distributors often report to their recruiters, often called their upline. Almost all companies have a compliance center. Some distributors will report on others for breaking the rules of the business. Their business can then be shut down if reported and they are found to have broken compliance. Rewards and punishments used to modify behaviors, both positive and negative. When you first join an MLM, you are love-bombed, and if not successful, you are told that you didn't try hard enough or you don't have good work ethics. This happens throughout the duration of being in a MLM. The companies also give their consultants bonuses, promise them incentives like trips, and in some cases, even cars. Discourage individualism and encourage groupthink. Let's define groupthink. Groupthink, a pattern of thought characterized by self-deception, forced manufacture of consent, and conformity to group values and ethics. MLMs somehow appear to be encouraging individualism within groupthink. Everyone in the MLM has to have the same values, beliefs, and faith in the company and with their businesses. Yet, they tell you to make it your own, or this groupthink will help you change your life for the better. Impose rigid rules and regulations. Some MLM companies do this in terms of imposing rules about not using any products besides the MLM products. All have rigid rules about what consultants can or can't post, although many don't follow it, and the company tends to turn a blind eye when certain rules are broken under the radar, such as making false medical claims. Then, of course, there are compliance centers to ensure consultants follow the rules with penalties if they do not. Instill dependency and obedience. When you are a distributor, you become very dependent on not only the MLM financially, but also on your uplines and your support network within the MLM. This is one of the reasons many people believe them to be cults. Threaten harm to family and friends. Maybe not per se, but they will shame you about your family and friends not supporting you enough. But no threats, as far as we all know. Force individual to be sexually assaulted. I really hope that this has never happened. I don't believe it has. Encourage and engage in corporate punishment. For the most part, no. However, there are some deeply religious MLM groups that do believe in corporate punishment in terms of child rearing. Information control. Deception. A. Deliberately withhold information. B. Distort information to make it more acceptable. And C. Systemically lie to the cult member. This occurs very heavily in MLM companies. They withhold any negative or true MLM information and statistics and distort the income disclosure statement and business model to sound more successful, more easily attainable, and they lie about the impacts these companies truly have on society and individuals. They also control how people view product success with this tactic. For example, when a customer for Monat begins having severe hair loss and scalp rashes from their shampoo, the company and consultants claim this is their hair detoxing and healthy for their hair and scalp, when it is in fact the opposite. Proper advice is to stop using a product if you have a negative reaction to it. Minimize or discourage access to non-cult sources of information. MLM companies do this by making the main resource their company website, and it is to be used by everyone involved. Consultants often speak badly of former members and are too busy running their businesses to check more sources or even have the time to think outside of the groupthink they are trapped in. Compartmentalize information into outsider versus insider doctrines. Only the CEO of the companies and top leaders decide who needs to know what and when. Also, distributors are encouraged to think of outsiders of MLM businesses as unsupportive, negative, uneducated. Just ask any of us in the anti-MLM community how they receive us. Encourage spying on other members. We already discussed how some consultants spy and report on each other. It is hard to say if this is due to who they are or if it is encouraged by the MLM companies every time, however. Extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda. This tactic is used non-stop by MLMs. Every social media is used for their propaganda, including there being thousands of YouTube videos on the products, companies, and training. Members are to watch positive affirmation videos and motivational videos whenever not working their businesses for self-development. MLMs will even misquote statements or use empowering context from non-cult sources to promote their MLM lifestyle. Unethical use of confession. This does not occur in MLMs. Thought control. Require members to internalize the group's doctrines as truth. There is a lot of black and white thinking involved when you fall into the mentality of the Hunbots. They even create their own reality in terms of results from products. They fake it and airbrush or Photoshop pictures, or they believe the company can help solve all their life's problems. Change person's name and identity. Although MLMs do not change people's names, they do give them ranks or titles such as Ruby, Diamond, Ambassador Diamond, or Presidential Diamond, as is the case with It Works. This creates a feeling of importance within the company, even though these titles have no real meaning to outsiders and holds no power in the real world outside of the MLM. Many family members and friends of those involved in MLMs claim after they signed up, their loved one began to act like a completely different person. So it could be argued they do change your identity to an extent. You may even change all your lifestyle habits after you join. Use of loaded language and cliches which constrict knowledge, stop critical thoughts, and reduce complexities into platitudinous buzzwords. MLMs are very guilty of this. We dove deeply into the use of language to manipulate society into joining and accepting MLMs in our second episode. I highly recommend watching it if you haven't already. Encourage only good and proper thoughts. MLMs use what is referred to as toxic positivity. Let's define that quickly. The overgeneralization of a happy, optimistic state that results in the denial, minimization, and invalidation of the authentic human emotional experience. Any negativity is shut down, especially on team pages and during the team tradings. No one can be negative. Hypnotic techniques are used to alter mental states, undermine critical thinking, and even to age regress the member. MLMs don't use hypnosis, but they do use repetition often and undermine critical thinking. Memories are manipulated and false memories are created. This does not take place within multi-level marketing companies. Teaching thought-stopping techniques which shut down reality testing by stopping negative thoughts and allowing only positive thoughts, including A. Denial, rationalization, justification, wishful thinking. B. Chanting. C. Meditating. D. Praying. E. Speaking in tongues. F. Singing or humming. This is done often without the consultant realizing. Hunbots often rationalize and justify their behavior. Meditating and praying can also be connected to MLM activity, especially since many MLMs use religion to help manipulate and control its members. Rejection of rational analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. If you are a part of the anti-MLM community and you have tried to reach out to a consultant to give them information or statistics, especially from the Federal Trade Commission website, you know this one to be very true. If you have watched even one anti-MLM video, you have most likely seen this conversation showcased. It's very common. After all, Our main goal is always to save people from these companies. MLM consultants reject any information outside of their groupthink and MLM mentality. Only the top boss babes are allowed to give constructive criticism. Forbid critical questions about leader, doctrine, or policy. This is often done, although it may not be forbidden. Critical questions are often ignored or answered in private. Recruiters often withhold information about the company and slowly release that information to their downlines as their downlines climb ranks in the company. Also, if you ask a young living Hun about Gary Young's past, they often leave out the most worrisome parts of his past. I covered this in a video as well in my normal series. Labeling alternative belief systems as not useful, illegitimate, or evil. You will often hear those in MLMs use the words toxic and negative. They especially feel this way about the anti-MLM community, of course. I would like to take an even deeper dive into the emotional control category of the bite model. So, in our next episode of The Manipulation of a Hunbot, we will be discussing the emotional control category of the bite model and how it relates to multi-level marketing businesses. We will also discuss if MLMs should be considered cults, what that means for society as a whole and for those involved as distributors, consultants, Hunbots. Again, please wait until the end of the next episode to make your decision on whether or not MLMs are cults. The next episode will be Friday, February 28th. Let me know what you think about what we have discussed so far. And remember, don't get manipulated by a Hunbot.